Psycho class, here we go. Okay, one of the reasons I love doing this class is because we're not wasting our time here. We're going to talk about something that really matters, something that can change a person's life. We're going to go into what the problem of addiction and alcoholism is, and then I'm just not going to leave you hanging with explaining the problem. I'm also going to explain the solution to the problem. Because there's a lot of times in life where we're focused on the problem, and it's a wonderful thing sometimes to figure out what the problem is, but then you leave someone hanging with just talking about the problem and you have no solution. And you're just stuck with the problem. So we're going to talk about the problem of what alcoholism and drug addiction is, and then we're going to talk about what the solution to alcoholism and drug addiction is. So on page 116, it talks about that the age-old riddle of alcoholism has been solved. So that's what it has. It's been solved. So we're going to talk about that today. Because I couldn't stay off this cycle. You see, that was me on this board, and I couldn't quite get off the cycle. And I didn't understand why. My life got worse and worse. I had more truths and consequences hit my life, and I'd emerge remorseful. I'd make firm resolutions, which were a bunch of promises that always turned into broken promises. And I couldn't figure out why until someone took the time to explain to me what was in this book. And then my life's changed ever since. And they took the time to explain that I can't just stay away from drugs and alcohol because I have a spiritual malady that I was treating with drugs and alcohol. So if I take away what I was using to treat the spiritual malady, which is just estrangement from God, disconnection from God. I was living a selfish and self-centered life and had a lot of fun and thrills with it. I was getting my way a lot of the times, and life was fun until I started running into consequences in my life. And then my life got not so fun. But I couldn't understand, once I would try to stay away from the drugs and alcohol, why wouldn't my life get better? Well, it's because I didn't understand the real problem. See, alcohol and drugs weren't my problem. It was alcoholism and drug addiction was my problem. And what that is a threefold thing, which is spiritual malady, because I was living a self-centered life, and I was disconnected from God. My spirit got sick. And then my mind is just based on a bunch of lies. My outlook on life is based on lies, and I can't shake this mental obsession of this time I put the substance in my body, I'm going to enjoy it and control it like I see other people doing. No matter what, every other time the truth and consequence came in my life, I have this mental obsession that I can't quite seem to shake that tells me, no, this time it's going to be different. And I sit in the spiritual malady as long as I can. The way the malady manifests itself is through restlessness, irritableness, and discontentment. You see the RIDs right here. It also manifests in depression, anxiety, feelings of uselessness, boredom. These things that are plaguing the world. Depression and anxiety and all these things that there's really no answer for as far as the world's concerned except throwing medication at you. And come to find out, if you treat those things with coming close with God and having a relationship with God, not only will that solve alcoholism and drug addiction, but that will also solve depression, anxiety, and feelings of guilt and shame and all these other things that seem to be plaguing the world. Okay? So someone took the time to explain this to me, and after a couple weeks or a month, the light bulb started to go off. Okay? So what they took the time to explain is, here's the problem, boils down to this. It's a question of choice, no choice, the mind, the mental obsession going on, and no control. So if you turn with me to page 44, out of chapter 4, out of the We Agnostics, out of the big book, this is what I had to ask myself and be honest with myself. About four sentences down, page 44 out of the big book, it says, if when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, okay? Not quit for a week, not quit while you're in jail, Not quit for a month, couple months, because you're trying to make your wife happy or get your kids back or get your job back. Quit entirely. If you find that you have this no choice thing going on, then you're halfway there to realizing you're a true alcoholic addict. Okay? The next thing you need to ask yourself and be honest about is the rest of this line. Go back to page 44. It says, or if when drinking you have little control over the amount you take, you are probably alcoholic. So, along with the no choice, do you have this no control thing going on? When you drink and you put it in your body, do you at least, there are times when you don't have control of how much you drink. Because you could fool yourself and there was that time, a couple times, there was that stretch where I would go and I would drink exactly what I wanted to drink, and then I went home and then I was able to show up to work on Monday. Don't fool yourself, because it says there will be, at every time were you able to control how much you drink. Because most people can control how much they drink. So do you have these two things going on? Do you have the mind piece, which there's no choice, a mental obsession that no matter how many times you fell for the lie, that you're sitting in this spiritual malady, your mind always goes back. The alcoholic life is the only life you can see, right? The portion out of the doctor's opinion. And do you have this no control piece, the body piece? Well, when I put it in my body, there's something in me that not every human being has, and it's called the phenomena of craving. So I put that substance in my body, and there are times where I cannot control how much I take, to where I'm on a spree facing the truth and consequence in my life. I'm like, here I am again. Wow, I'm losing everything again. Everything good in my life. Losing relationships. Losing just, why would I continue on this path when nothing good is in my life? Right? And I have to emerge remorseful again, make a firm resolution. Well, do you have this mind of a chronic alcoholic, the no choice thing going on, and do you have this body piece, the no control thing going on? Because if you have both of those going on, there's a good chance that you're an alcoholic, right? And then with the third part of this, the spiritual malady, turn with me to page 64 real quick. And look at what this awesome promise is. Because we have to understand the full scope of the problem, and then we're going to get to the solution. I don't want to leave you hanging with just pointing out what your problem is without giving you an answer for that problem, a real solution for the problem. That if you choose to follow, you have a 100% guarantee for it to work. Right? And it just blows my mind that people who don't know, it's contempt prior to investigation, as the book talks about, where you think you know about something before you actually know about something. So like, if you're like me, as ignorant as I am, I asked and questioned the 100% guarantee when someone told me that, hey, it worked for them, it's 100% guaranteed to work. And I questioned it because in my puny mind, I couldn't wrap my mind around something that could be 100% guaranteed. But now that I'm living this out, I know it to be true, right? So I want to be careful moving on in my life, thinking I know something when I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, right? And I had to try it and experience. Contempt, meaning, you think a certain way about something prior to investigation, before you even tried it, you make up your mind, and that's the definition of being ignorant. And I don't want to be ignorant anymore if I can help it. So, page 64 is going to break down this third piece, the spiritual malady. And do we understand what the spiritual malady is and how it manifests? It's disconnection from God, living a selfish and self-centered life, and it manifests itself in. See if any of this sounds familiar because it's the whole world struggling with it. It manifests itself in anxiety and depression and uselessness and boredom, right? I'm restless, I'm irritable, I'm discontented, I'm not a happy camper, I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I have to have a substance in me at all times. I'm discontented. I'm not thankful. I haven't felt gratitude. I'm not happy to be alive. How did I get into that situation? I'm born, I'm healthy, I live in America, I have every chance, every opportunity any person could ever want, and my life sucks so bad that I'm barely even existing. It's the futility of life is what the book talks about. Spirituality was so bad that my life was pointless. I existed to put some more substance in my body every day. And I had nothing good in my life. But look at the promise of the book on page 64. Almost towards the bottom of the page, it says, probably like 7 lines before the page ends, it says, when the spiritual malady is overcome, then we straighten out mentally and physically. Now we're getting to the solution of the problem, guys. I can't just stay away from alcohol and drugs. Why? Why could I never just stay away once I got it out of my system? Once I got out of jail? Once I moved to another state? Once I got a new girlfriend? Because I didn't know how to treat the spiritual malady. I didn't know what it was going to take for me to get really close with God and stay close with God and be concerned with His will over my will and make myself available to be there for other people and let God use my life to bring glory to His name. And Matt stopped playing God because I suck at playing God and let God use my life and just come to find out that that's exactly what I was created for. Colossians 1:16 says what? I was created by Him for Him. So me and everybody else on this earth was created solely for God. And if we push back on that, we can't surrender to God's will and His plan for our life, we'll keep finding ourselves in a lot of trouble. Right? So once the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. So the solution is for the spiritual malady to be overcome through God and the power of God. And we have to find out, well, what does that look like? Well, the good news is we're going to find out about that in this book. Okay? Turn with me to the forward to the first edition. Before the doctor's opinion, way in the beginning of the big book, there's a forward to the first edition, to the second edition, and to the third edition. We're going to turn to the forward to the first edition. I'll even tell you the page number. It is XIII. Okay? Now look at how this is worded in the big book. And it's so encouraging because if you pay attention to the words that it uses, kind of eliminates the unknown and the doubt, right? But of course, it's a spiritual program of action. That means there's got to be action on our part on a daily basis. So, top of the page, XIII, forward to the first edition. It says this: we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have what? Recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, as we just went over. And the point of this book is what? To show other alcoholics precisely is an awesome word. It means it's going to show us exactly, right? Precisely how we have what? Recovered is the main purpose of this book. So the good news is the purpose of this book will not only explain to us what our problem is, but it's going to show us precisely how we are to recover from this hopeless state of mind and body, having a spiritual malady, and can't seem to get off this cycle of addiction. So it's going to break down and show us just how that's done. So turn to me to page 20 now. 5 lines down from the top of the page, page 20. We're going to start with the word doubtless. You find it. Okay? So more awesome portions of the book. Just to encourage you guys, that there's a way out of this thing, that seemingly there is no way out, that it's a worldwide pandemic that nobody can seem to lick or shake. And so many people die every day. So many families are destroyed, and people are destroyed in relationships, and broken-hearted kids and wives and so on and so forth, and parents. And yet there's a way out of this thing called addiction. It says, page 20, doubtless you are curious to discover how and why, in the face of expert opinion to the contrary, we have recovered. Are you curious? Are you struggling with this? Do you have a family member that's struggling with this? Are you curious to find out not only what's really going on, but how to recover and how to stay recovered? Are you not curious about the information that's in this book? Because I sure am. I had to be. You know why? Because look what it says. Contrary to expert opinion, this is a worldwide pandemic that nobody seems to have an answer for. Once an addict, always an addict. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Also, poor Uncle so-and-so, he's never going to get it. He's never going to change. Well, I was Uncle so-and-so. So I'm here to tell you that you can change. Okay? Contrary to expert opinion. But you got to do it God's way and follow the suggestions and the directions in this book. Right? Which, don't ever forget, borrowed all of his spiritual principles from the Bible. Okay, we never going to leave that part out, because I don't want people to be confused as if you can't trust this book. So, contrary to expert opinion, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you are an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do? Like, is that you? Are you asking, what do I have to do? Do you have the desperation of a drowning man like I had? And I was so hopeless, I didn't think there was a possibility to change. So someone's telling you, look, I've been there. Someone helped me. I'm here to help you. This is your problem. This is exactly and precisely what you're going to have to do so that that problem you have, addiction, is no longer a problem in your life. And you're going to have a good life. You're going to be able to affect people's lives. Are you curious of what this information has to offer? Are you this person saying, well, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? After all, I was over here drowning. Is there desperation in your life? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? It says, it is the purpose of this book to answer such questions specifically. You see these words? Precisely, specifically. So if you are struggling and can't seem to get out, you're stuck on this cycle, and you've been stuck on the cycle, the good news is that this book is going to walk you through, connect you with the power of God, and give you actions to take on each and every day to continue to grow spiritually. Then you take this information and you pass it on to someone else who needs the help, and you really start to grow spiritually by working with somebody else, and you can't get back on the cycle. But if you choose not to do the work and grow spiritually on a daily basis and keep looking to God daily, surrendering your will to God, all the suggestions in this book, you will go back on the cycle. You don't have to believe it. You can believe it or not. But there's 200% guarantees here. You're either going to go back by not following the directions and the suggestions and staying close to God and making yourself available to others, staying around like-minded people. Or if you do stay in the 3 parts and treat your mind, body, and spirit by working the steps, living the steps out, having morning time with God, bringing your body around like-minded people 4 or 5 times a week, and the best way to treat the spirituality is taking other people through the steps and making yourself available to give back freely what your self-centered butt's been given. What my self-centered butt's been given. How selfish is it for us to get well and go run and live our life without giving back? Right? So if you do those 3 things, that 100% guarantee is for you. The good 100% guarantee. Not the bad 100% guarantee. Remember, there's 2. Okay? So, it says, that this book is going to answer those questions specifically. If you're saying, well, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to recover? And it says, we shall tell you what we have done. I tell you what someone told me what they did, and it's working for me, and I'm going to come tell you what I've done so you can hopefully pass it off to somebody else. Okay? And then, of course, we're going to qualify the people. If you read down page 20, it talks about, are you a moderate drinker user, a heavy drinker user, or are you the real McCoy, as the book says, the real alcoholic addict? People have to be qualified, because if you have this thing going on page 44 that we read, if you have the mind thing, the no choice, you're beyond human aid, you're going to keep going back. And if you have the control thing going on, once you fall for the lie, you put it in your body, you can't control it. So you have no choice, no control, and the spiritual malady is gripping your life. Then you are that real alcoholic. As you go to page 21, it talks about the real alcoholic. That real alcoholic is faced with those 200%. You're either going to follow that stuff on a daily basis, or you'll go back on a cycle. It's guaranteed. But if you want to stay off, then you will follow what this book has to say. Because I'm the real McCoy, that real alcoholic addict. And I only have one choice. My choice is this. Because remember, if I'm not following the suggestions of this book, I don't have a choice. I've proven that to myself. But my one choice I have today is what? I'm going to stay in the 3 parts, dive into the solution, which is God and the things of God, and I'm not getting out. And I'm not taking any days off. Because that's the one choice I have, to follow this thing to the T on a daily basis. And then 11 and a half years later, the guy that couldn't go 11 hours, let alone 11 days. Are you serious? Unless I was locked up, I couldn't go 11 days. Never. 11 and a half years. But I have not took a day off because I refuse to, right? So we're going to end over on page 17. Chapter 2, page 17. We broke down the problem. We've touched on the solution. And the solution is actually the name of this chapter. Because let me tell you, my friends, there is a solution. Let's read this page, talk about it for a bit, and then we'll close. It says, page 17, we of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill and as hopeless as Matt. Me, thank you. Nearly all have recovered. They have what? They have solved the drink problem. They have solved the drink problem and have solved the drug problem. So, why are people still having a problem with alcohol and drugs if it's been solved? Do they not know the information? Do they not know what the problem is? Do they not know the only way out from this is connecting with God on a daily basis, staying in the 3 parts and following all the suggestions in this book, treating my mind, my body, and my spirit with God and the things of God? Do they not know? Because the drink problem and the drug problem has been solved. It's been solved. But there's a part that we play. There's action to be taken on a daily basis. Right? Next line says, we are average Americans, all sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally would not mix. Can I get an amen? We would normally not mix, would we not? But let's read on to see just how much we are the same and how much we can mix and how close and united we can become and what kind of a fellowship can rise up around us and really give us this life that we've really always been looking for. Not having to isolate, not having to stay, hello darkness, my old friend. You could come out of that stuff and really have a good life, right? So let's see what it says. But there exists among us a fellowship of friendliness and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. It's indescribably wonderful what happens when we connect on a level, even really beyond friendship. It's friendship in the best way possible, with accountability and true love and realness, but it's a brotherhood is how I would explain. Lifelong friends is what you can expect when you surrender to this process. Okay? It's indescribably wonderful, guys. And an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We are like the passengers of a great liner. Now understand this example, okay? We're like passengers of a great liner the moment after rescue from shipwreck. So we're on a boat and storm happened and man, dude, wow, we're going down. We hit an iceberg, fellas. We're in the middle of the ocean. It's freezing water. We're going down and we're going to die. That's what I felt like in my addiction. But somehow, some way, we got an opportunity to get rescued, right? So think about that. It says, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to captain's table, right? Because we all got rescued together. We thought we were going down and we were goners. It was over. We were hopeless. All of a sudden, there's a glimmer of hope and light, and we think, things going to change for us? Are we going to be rescued? So we're all excited, but look at this. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy in escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. We don't get saved from this sinking ship, which is addiction, and then, oh man, thank God I'm not dead. Thank God I have another chance at life. And we go our separate ways, and we go live our life, just take what was so freely given us and run and then live our life. No, it doesn't stop there. Look what it says. The feelings of having shared in a common peril, right? Going down in a sinking ship, but at the last minute getting saved. So that's a connection that we have. Doesn't stop there though. Look what has to happen. Okay? Because that's only one element in the powerful cement which binds us. But that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. So it's more than that. And let's see what that is as we end on this page. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. That there is a solution now for anybody that's going down on the sinking ship of addiction, right? And alcoholism. And that we have a solution that can pull anybody out of the grave like that and give them hope and purpose in their life. And there's a common solution that we now can go and share with other people, but we have to be active in that. It's not about us getting saved and getting our things back, because most times if we don't stay active in helping other people come to this solution, which is God and the things of God, we lose the things we got back. How many times have we gotten everything back? And we're not active in this spiritual walk, helping others and staying close with God, and we lose it all anyway, right? So it says we have a common solution. Along with being saved, we need to stay active in saving others, right? And showing them the way and the path. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. See, there has to be action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism and drug addiction. Not only do we know what the problem is now, and it manifested itself in depression and anxiety, these things that are baffling the whole world, that we have a solution to the problem. But we have to even let our connection be deeper. Not that we've all been saved from the same thing, like surviving a shipwreck, but now we can come together and help other people who are going down and show them the path and the way and have a great life. Okay? We'll pick up next time.